Welcome back. My name is Brandon, and today we're going to be modifying some window security grates for a customer. Stick around. This is what we're working on today. Customer brought me a couple of these window grates that need to be resized, so they got to be made smaller. It's my understanding that these were installed on some windows at a firearms facility or a firearms dealership, and they're making these fit onto a different set of windows that are a little bit smaller. You can see it's got some details up here. It looks like probably some contactors for an alarm. And these were actually originally custom fabricated. I didn't do the work, but they did a really good job on them. For you guys looking to break out on your own, this is kind of how I do stuff. The customer brought me this measurement, said from inside to inside, and he called it from here to here that they need to be 22 inches, and here to the inside up there needs to be 38. So I measured those, and it's actually 38 1/8 inside to inside. The customer says, yeah, don't bother, just leave it, so we can leave this dimension, so we only got to shorten the width. But you can see we've got kind of this in the way. We'll work through these issues as we do it. So it's going to work out to be that we need to remove 1 1/8 from each side of these. So we're going to have to cut there, there, move everything in, not the centers, just the sides, so that it's all equal. I make these notes for me so that I can remember what it is that I need to do once I start this project. And then I talked to the customer. I told him it's going to take me approximately 2 hours or no more than that. And I told him I would call him when they're ready, first of the week. So I make these notes so that way I can stay on top of things and not forget anything. It helps. So without further ado, let's get started. So the first thing I'm going to do is take a nice sharp awl and mark out 1 1/8 on all of this stuff, and then I can put a nice straight line to go by to cut it. So when you take on these types of projects, one of the considerations is how much is it going to cost to rework it, meaning cut this, grind that weld, and then re-weld it, versus how much would it cost to cut this, replace the side, and give them new. There's actually a little bit of cost savings by me reworking it, because you have this whole detail thing that you'd have to deal with, and the way they welded this is they've welded it on the inside, so it would be almost impossible to take this apart without destroying it. Then they've got these holes in it that have been tapped. So in the long run, for them to buy additional metal and for me to remake this stuff, it would actually cost them more than for me to just cut it, shorten it by 1 1/8 on each side, and then weld it back together. Those are some of the factors that you have to figure in when you do these types of jobs. Now with all my scribe lines made into all the metal, I'm just going to take it over to the portable bandsaw and cut it. So this, you can see, will be cut right there with this piece here removed. Same thing with this. This will be removed. That one will be removed, which means we've got to grind this back. Then when we get to here where these contactors are, I'm going to cut it flush here, and then I've measured over 1 1/8, and we're going to take that section out, which is that right there. And I'm sure you guys are going to see and wonder, so I blew out my knee, and I can't walk for like 6 weeks, and I can't put any more than 50% weight on this leg because they did 4 different procedures inside my knee. Replaced my ACL, meniscus, they did a whole bunch of stuff in there. So I am currently, as of today, 16 days post-surgery. I can't fit this into that saw the way it is, so I'm going to use a cutoff wheel and just make these 4 cuts with a zip disc. Now I can set this aside, because for the most part we're done with it, until we get these sides prepped, and then we can put it all back together again, weld it. So with all of this fit up and my measurements confirmed, now we just got to set up a machine. And for this, I'm going to be using my Welder DP200, and I want to show you my settings. So I got it set for steel and C25 gas. I'm using 30 thousandths diameter Lincoln wire, 1/8 inch material. I'm in 2T mode, which is just you pull the trigger and the wire comes out. When you let off, it stops. I'm using 20 CFH of gas. I'm not using pulse. This is a double pulse machine. I'm using 0.3 seconds of pre-flow gas and 0.3 flow seconds of post-flow gas. Select this, press it in to get to it. You can see pre-flow 0.3. I'm using 0.5 post-flow gas. First thing I'm going to do is get everything tacked together. Then we'll go through and weld it all up. I didn't have a very good ground connection there, so we'll have to do something about that. It's hard because all this stuff is painted. Now that I got everything all prepped and roughed in, what I didn't show you on the other one is how I prepped the joints and what I did. I'll bring you in a little bit closer this time. I'm going to take a wire wheel, go around all of these joints first to get rid of any of that paint so I get a nice solid connection there. And we'll go through, clean up these welds. You can see how they're a little proud, they're not straight, and cut those flush, make them look good, and then bevel everything back so we get a nice clean look, full penetration. Alright, I'll bring in and show you what we did. We got the old welds all cleaned up, and I started off with a hard disc to get down the majority, and then I used a 120 grit flap disc to give a good finish. And because this is getting welded like this, but on this side you can see how I've V'd it all out there, and that is so that I can grind it flush so that you don't see it. I did the same thing on these slats, V'd them out a little bit just so that the weld doesn't go too proud. It'll kind of keep a nice low profile. And another thing that I did that I didn't tell you is that before I cut this apart, I oriented everything. So I put a little white dot here and signified it with that there. So that meant that, you know, whatever I wanted to call this, I think this is the top, and I think this is where probably like window contactors go for an alarm. So I'm calling this the top and that the top. And then I just double checked everything just to make sure everything is perfect, and my inside measurements are 22 inches. So this should work great for the customer. So again, I'm going to get everything tacked up. That welder is working awesome. I'm super impressed. I can't wait. At some point I'm going to try out the double pulse function with this, but we're just not there yet. But right now this puts down a super nice clean weld, and it's relatively inexpensive. I think it's under 400 bucks. So it seems to be a pretty decent welder so far. I don't have a whole lot of seat time in it, but so far I'm real happy with it. Flip this around, get the other side, and then we can weld in, tack in these, and then we'll weld it all the way out. It's coming along really good. And I'm just putting a clamp on it here and there just to help hold things down to where kind of I need them to be, just to make things simpler for me. Don't quite have the ability to like stand on my leg and balance all at the same time quite yet. So. Now I'm going to go through and weld every one of these cross pieces in, and I've just got a little piece of scrap underneath it so that that keeps it the same distance all the way, so that I'm measuring the same distance here. It's back just a little bit. And here they are, all done, resized. Just got to put a little bit of paint on it. So change the width. You can see up top we changed the width but welded it to the outside. And I'll flip it over. this is the surface they're going to be mounted to, so I've ground this flush so it sits flush against the window or whatever it is that it's going against. And these are the bottoms. Throw a quick coat of paint on it, and this thing will look like we never did anything. Here we are, guys. Got them outside in some better light, waiting for the customer to come by and pick them up, and this should work perfect for them. If this is something that you like, please don't forget to rate, comment, and subscribe. Until next week, I will see you guys then. Take care, stay safe, and God bless. And if you're wondering about any of the tools that you see me using, I'll have links down below. See ya.